So the title is How Do I Come to Terms with My Friend's Sudden Violent Death and Make Peace with Him Letting Go?
Jesus Christ. All right, let's do this.
Anonymous 21. Hi guys, about 6 months ago, my friend died incredibly unexpectedly in a car crash. It was a one-person accident late at night. He was driving back to his house to play poker with our friend group when something weird happened with his car. His parents are currently in the process of suing the manufacturers, which led to him hitting a pole and the car exploding.
Jesus Christ.
This was, of course, unimaginably difficult for me and all of his friends. He was a fantastic human being, the kind of guy who really made us all feel loved and cared about, who wouldn't hesitate to make a sacrifice to make the people around him happier. Although we were both the same age, I looked up to him and admired him greatly. The last text exchange I ever had with him was me telling him how much I loved him and appreciated how kind he always was. My friends and I have all gone through the 5 stages of immediate grief together and are coming out on the other side okay. One of the things that helped me the most initially after the accident occurred was a pact I made with myself to at least once every day think about him and a memory we had together and try to show kindness to others in the same way he did. Fuck, man, you're gonna make me cry. This gave me a sense that he was somehow still here, that he was alive through his impact on me. Oh, Jesus, man. And on the other people in his life. But I'm beginning to notice thinking less and less of him as time goes on. Initially, that was a good thing. It's nice to not be in a constant state of anguish and pain, but as time goes on, it feels like he's dying all over again, and there's nothing I can do to keep him alive. I have no idea what to do about this sense of guilt and pain, especially because I've recently graduated from college and moved away from all of the friends I experienced this with. I've thought about reaching out to his family to see if there's any memories or stories I could share with them, or ways I could help with anything, but am afraid of putting another burden on a group of people who have already experienced an unimaginable trauma. Therapy hasn't helped either, as it has been very difficult for me to put into words what I am feeling or why I am feeling it. I don't know if the solution is to just accept that he's gone and let him go, or try even harder to keep him alive the more time passes. Both options seem equally as painful and difficult. I know this is intense for a group of Melee players to answer, but I guess a more simple version of my question is this. How do I keep honoring my friend's legacy the further and further away I get from his death and stop myself from feeling guilty for continuing to live life without him?
I'm going to be a little hard on you right now because I think you literally typing out as words between God and us and all of our friends and saying, I don't know if the solution is just to accept that he's dead, is like, that is the solution. You know that. There is something that is keeping you obsessed with the idea of his death, and that's normal. I think death is such a strange and hardcore thing to have to survive, right? When you talk about those who survive, like family members, friends, and stuff like that. And there is something that you particularly are scared of about yourself and your life that you are using this tragedy to express in a way, healthily or unhealthily. Because genuinely, if you really think about it, if you logically put this on paper, even if you don't think about your friend every day, it doesn't mean he's gone. It doesn't mean his memory is just going to wither. He made an impact on you. You carry with you all the things that he taught you and impacted you with. You carry that with you, whether you like it or not. And that's kind of a beautiful thing. He lives on in you and you guys and all the people he touched, right? So you're thinking that if you don't think about him, something is wrong, doesn't actually have to do with him. It has to do with something you are unwilling to accept about the concept of death or yourself or some sort of insecurity. That is my surface level understanding. And I'm saying this as from a vantage point of someone who's dealt with death. Honestly, kind of a lot. I wouldn't say a lot of friends. I have friends that have died. My best friend, my childhood best friend died. He died, he was 32. I went to his funeral during COVID. Maybe it was 2021, I forget. I hadn't talked to him in 10 years, but he meant so much to me as a kid, and he's just gone. And every time it's his birthday, because we were born 5 days apart, I think about him. I do something, you know? Do I think about it every day? No. But when I think about, sometimes he'll just come up and it's a good feeling and it's natural and it's normal. That is, I believe, the proper way after a long grieving period to handle death and the thoughts of those who have passed is naturally, because it's always going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot at the beginning and it's going to hurt less as time goes on. But you can't be obsessed because that's no life, you know? That's what my initial, so it might sound like I'm being a little hard on you, but there's something going wrong. There's a gear missing in your head right now. You got to find that gear.
I thought that was a great answer.
Yeah. I know people have died around me a lot.
Yeah.
I know.
I think to be honest, I think I am poorly equipped to answer this question. I think this is I don't know if I process like death very well, or
you had that friend that died, that melee guy.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember because you typed about it in our Discord and you talked about how it made you feel and I remember telling you, I think you were upset about the idea that you haven't talked to him in a long time and now he's gone and that you can't. And I remember what I told you was that you're the kind of guy that, like, even if you meet you for a little bit, you make a positive impact, and that's someone I strive to be and fail at a lot of times, I'll admit. But I don't think you're poorly equipped. I think you expressing what you said in the Discord when that happened was very healthy, and you carried it with you well, and you felt this pain, this grief that's so natural for us, and now I'm sure you think about him every now and then. Yeah,
it's funny. I actually sent a message about him like 30 minutes before you got here.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he was from your region, right?
He is from Bellingham, Washington. Yeah, he just, I don't know. Yeah, he just died. Like, he's 35. He was 26 when I met him, and I was 16. And I went to his apartment to play Melee because I hit up the Facebook group, and he taught me how to Falco Pillar.
Yes, sir.
And he's very encouraging. Invited me to like a Smash Fest that was happening that weekend. And that was the first fest I went to with like a bunch of college guys, and like watching people play for the first time and just seeing like, wow, they're so good and they're so fast. Like, wow. Like watching Sheik like fucking wave dash back to ledge and then back air was like, dude, how did he do that?
So
like,
buttery.
I think the reason that I feel so ill-equipped is like, I feel like a little fake, and like, you know, he like dealing with his death is weird because of that removal, because like we haven't been like close in a long time, and so the emotion felt very disconnected, I would say.
Yeah,
and
you haven't had a big one.
and then my mom died when I was like 1, you know, so I fucking dodged that more or less. You know, there's some sadness there, but it manifests in like very different ways than I think like losing a family member normally would. And then I think the closest thing is like my youngest. So I've like, because of the way my family works, I have 6 grandparents, and the first one died a few years ago, and she was the youngest of them by like a pretty large margin. And that was the first like close family member who passed away. And I think I have dealt with things by just not focusing on them, to be honest. Like I shove things, like I shove that down and like don't think about it very much. And
super normal. I've always said there's no wrong way to grieve, really, as long as you're not like, you know, hurting someone else or something. But it's you go at your own pace. It's just such a final thing, right? That's why there's someone on the subreddit literally today was like, my dad died. I am now the Dead Dad Club, and it's sort of like a post about that.
Yeah.
And all I said was, take your time. Take all the time you need. That's really all you can do.
Yeah.
I remember my dad died. I had in my Twitch description, it said, I am streaming to get rich one day, or I'm on the yard. One day I will be able to buy my dad a house.
Yeah.
And people would message me, be like, hey, just so you know, it still says that. And I'm like, dude, kill yourself.
Yeah.
Wait, like, because basically I wasn't ready to remove that.
Yeah.
And you are telling me how to grieve.
Yeah.
And it's an insane overstep.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just kind of what you got to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But I think, you know, I haven't told anybody this, but I had a friend I grew up with, I played Melee with. He was across the street. It wasn't my childhood best friend. He's like later on in life. I hung out at his house. I knew his family. We hung out all the time. We played Melee. It was, you know, for better or for worse, he was one of my best friends because he's my neighbor. I found out in May he killed himself. He had 3 kids and he killed himself, and his mom tried to get a hold of me. She did. I called her. She told me about it. I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. And for one, older people are so weird about death. She literally was like, yeah, he lost the battle. It was so callous. His mom's a really nice person.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucked up. My dad's friends, they would talk the same way about it. I don't know. Maybe it's like a coping thing. Beside the point, I was like, she's like, do you think you can make the funeral? It's in Colorado. I'm like, yes, I can. I missed it. I put it on my calendar, didn't acknowledge it, forgot about it, got my weeks messed up. I missed the funeral. And I think about that all the time. So that is to tell you, anyone out there listening, or the person that submitted this, make those moments count, because you don't get to reschedule a funeral, right?
No.
It is a paying respects. It's a send-off.
Yeah.
Shit like that, man, you gotta go to. Just that is what will make you feel better later on, to say, you know what, I attended that celebration of life, or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've done all this. Guy in the chat listening, you've done all the things. You've done so much, and you've done enough. It's not about him anymore. Whatever you're dealing with, it's about you. And I think that he wouldn't want you to be using his death as some sort of vehicle to be sad, right? So that is that's my advice, and you'll be okay.
I'm sorry about your friend, and I hope I hope things just be good.
You know, I got a lot funnier after my dad died, so you have that to look forward to. You should be looking forward to that.
Get your funny up is the real
Get
TLDR.
your funny up or your money up.
My wife is bisexual. I am straight and also a chic main, so I enjoy some butt stuff in my free time. She knows this, but we haven't explored that together. I want to make sure I effectively make my